guys, and today's video is part 3 of my series that I've been doing about my syndrome, and I will be linking both videos somewhere around here if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2 yet. If you haven't yet, please go watch those first, that way you're not so lost in this video. In this video, I'm not going to be talking so much about the actual surgeries and procedures and medical treatment that I've received, but more on the emotional side of it and how it affected me emotionally and spiritually and just me as a person overall. I feel that it's really important because that is a key factor to who I am today and why I'm able to share my story with you guys today. It's taken me a really long time to get here, exactly 32 years to get here today, to be able to share this on the internet, not only with people that know me personally, but just on the internet for anyone and everyone to see. People that have met me as an adult don't always get my full testimony or my background of what I've gone through. Sometimes I get a question of something that is different about me, and they'll go ahead and ask me, or ask why I wear hearing aids, or if I do have a disability, or the famous question, what's wrong with you? So most people don't ask those things anymore. I do get a lot of stares still. Actually today I was waiting for my counseling appointment, and most of the time it's children that stare at me. I don't really understand that. I guess because they're just so curious and they probably do notice some things are different about me, but they just stare. And my husband always tells me every time we're out that he sees people staring at me quite often. So I've learned to tune it out. I don't let it bother me that much anymore. I've just learned to accept the fact that I look a little different, and that is okay. Maybe they're staring at me because I'm short. Maybe they're staring at me because I look a little different to them. Or maybe they're staring at me because they find me pretty. Either way, I've learned to just accept it and deal with it and not let it bother me anymore. But it has taken me a super long time to get that comfortable with myself and with my appearance. I was super self-conscious as a teenager, and especially as a child, of all of my physical appearances that were different. My hands, my feet, my ears, my scarring. I started really bad as a child, so it was something that I was really self-conscious of. So going back to kind of what I was talking about in the first video, I am 32 years old and I was born with a very rare syndrome, and it's called autopalatal-digital syndrome type 2. I am one of very few people that have it in the world. As of right now, I found recently online that there are 60 cases that are diagnosed. Most of the people that have the syndrome are males, and so I am just an even more rarity that I am a female and that I have lived way past the life expectancy. When I was born, they told my mom, don't expect me to live past 1. It's been a really big trial to get here, so I kind of just want to explain to you guys things that I experienced growing up and how that affected me emotionally. Being born with such a rare syndrome and having so many surgeries, having so many abnormalities with my body, I was constantly evaluated by doctors and poked at and looked at and examined, and they would bring in their student doctors and kind of just focus on, I don't know, it would be my hand or my ears or whatever, but I was constantly under the microscope, if you would say. And so I realize now that that really did play a role in my self-confidence. Since I was always in that position of being felt like I was so different and I was so unique and that my body was just so different, it really did make me feel like I was a freak. And I don't use that word lightly. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but honestly, I just seriously felt like I was ugly, I was different, I was deformed. I just did not feel good about myself at all. It's extremely hard to go to school feeling that way because At school is definitely where I got attacked the most. I was made fun of all the time on the regular basis. I was constantly called really mean names, and they of course had their common names for me. And I've talked about that in my bullying video before, but it goes deeper. It's connecting that with, along with it socially at school, combining it was just a really bad combination. So by the time I was 7 years old and I had my first facial reconstructive surgery, and I by this time had multiple surgeries, probably at least 20 by now, I was in the shower and my mom found me crying in the shower, just crying and saying that I wanted to die. And I do remember that very well. I remember just feeling very ugly, very different, very sad. It was just a very dark place to be at as a child. And I just didn't want to live anymore. So my mom was able to get me into therapy, and fully that helped me a lot. I was in and out of therapy actually my whole life for multiple reasons, and I'm currently in therapy now for on my own will, because it's something that I feel that it helped me work through some of the issues that still trouble me today that I was struggling with as a child. And I can remember the big part of me was just that I wanted to feel normal. And I really don't like the word normal, because to me, normal is whatever your normal is to you, and whatever my normal is to me is completely different to whatever normal it is for you. So for me, I just kind of wanted to fit in. I wanted to feel as though I was like any other girl at my school. I wanted to be a part of whatever cliques were in my school. I wanted to just be able to fit in. So I know that going to church and having such a loving, supporting family really did help me get through those really dark and difficult times, as well as going into counseling and really dealing with the bullying, because that was something that was a very big struggle of mine. And I feel like at that time it was a lot worse than it is now, because I didn't have anybody to protect me at school. I didn't have my teachers. I didn't have any best friends. Didn't even have the principal in elementary school or middle school or high school that was supportive. I didn't have anyone at school that was able to support me and really make me feel protected. I just kind of felt like I was on my own, and I was bullied, and I never fought back. I never argued back with anybody. I never let them see me cry. It wasn't until I was about 15, after my second facial surgery, that I really found some peace and a place of belonging, and that was when I went to church. And I was invited to go to church because, again, I was feeling very depressed, very suicidal. I never acted on it. I would just kind of always tell my mom that I didn't want to live anymore, that I didn't feel that I was pretty, that I felt ugly, and I felt like I was a monster, a freak, and that I just was tired of going through all the surgeries that I would go through. And it wasn't until she met somebody that was going to her church that was close by our home, and they invited me to go. And it wasn't until I started going to that church, which was Calvary Chapel, and it was in Montebello. It still is. And it wasn't until I went there that I really felt like I had a place of belonging, and I could feel accepted and feel like I fit in, and I was for once normal. And I'm so grateful that I found that church and that I connected right away with everyone there, that I have met so many people from that church that are still a big part of my life today. I actually met my husband there, and yeah, it was a big part of my life throughout my adult life. But going back to how I felt as a teenager, it was just a really rough time when I was going to school and not having that safety, not having any type of protection, and just really allowing those kids that would make fun of me get the best of me and get the best of my emotions. It took me a really long time to get over those names that they would call me, and it took me many years to retrain my thinking and to retrain the way I feel about myself and it hasn't been until recently as an adult, and even up until these last like 2 years that I started being on YouTube, that I've really been able to gain the confidence. I'm no longer as self-conscious. I no longer care if I wear my hair up and people see my hearing aids. I no longer get offended if people ask me what's wrong with me. And I'm finally now at the place where I can be comfortable. I am finally happy that I am able to be comfortable with the fact that I have this rare syndrome. All the surgeries, all the medical testing I had done, all of the bullying I went through, I am now able to share my story with you guys. In the last 5 years, I've lived in an area that is a couple hours away from my family. I have been able to maintain my own health. I haven't had any major health problems. I've been able to go to doctors that aren't specialists, and they just are able to get to know me, and kind of I have to share with them what my syndrome is. I finally have been able to get the courage to share with you guys everything that I've gone through, all the scary medical details and all the scary feelings that I've had to relive, because I kind of pushed those away and I don't want to think about those times anymore, and I've neglected a lot of those feelings and just kind of tried my best to just push them out of my memory. But I am no longer afraid of them. I'm no longer afraid of how that little girl felt at 7 years old. I am finally able to say that I am perfect the way that I am, and that God made no mistakes when He created me, and I am content with the fact that my body is a little different from everybody else's, but you know what? It works just the same as everybody else, and I'm able to live a very comfortable life. I go to school, I'm a wife, I do YouTube for fun, and it is a lot of fun, and I am just finally able to just be me and be comfortable with being me and being able to love myself and love all of my little imperfections, all of the scarring, all of the different things that make my body different from somebody else's. I'm okay with it now, but it's taken a very long time to finally be okay with it, and that's okay too. I just hope that I'm able to encourage you that everything comes to an end, and all of those ugly times don't last forever, and eventually you'll be able to get to the good stuff. And I feel like that's where I'm finally at today. I'm finally able to live my life in the good stuff, and I count my blessings every day, because I don't take for granted that I'm able to walk, that I'm able to hear, that I'm able to go to school. I just don't take those things for granted. Listening to motivational speakers or reading motivational books, because honestly that really does help train your process and your mentality and the way you think, because the way all of your thoughts really do control your emotions. And I'm learning that now. I'm learning that I can't let the negative stuff get to me, because if I did, I would not want to leave my house. I would not even want to be on this camera. It's so amazing what your thoughts can really control of you. And I'm learning to not let my thoughts control me, to not let the negative thoughts control me, but to reinforce myself with all the positive thoughts, because I'm still here for a reason. And I just want to thank you guys so much for allowing me to share my story with you guys, and thanks so much for watching if you're still watching. And if you have any questions, please leave them down below, and please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy these kind of videos. Until my next video guys, I hope you are having a great day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!